So what do you have in mind for the program for 2023?
2023.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to present cannabis through a different lens. I find in our current world, it's either we're completely against cannabis or we're completely for it, but it's in a very regimented kind of way of using cannabis. But with this holistic cannabis nursing perspective, I want us to first start to learn about the history of cannabis. Let's start to examine our own personal stigmas, because that was the biggest thing that helped me be able to embrace and really unapologetically consume cannabis as a wellness tool, was understanding our history and why we believed it to be so bad. So whenever any introductory, like if I'm doing a speaking event, if I'm interacting with a client, that's where we start. We start with the history. Let's look into the history of cannabis and let's start to learn how we can rewrite history for our future generations. So it's not something that's taboo and odd and something shameful. Let's make it accessible. And then from there, let's dive deeper into why does the human body love cannabis? Let's talk about the endocannabinoid system that we have by 7 weeks gestation. And talk about it being our master regulator and how important it is that we nourish the system. Cannabis is one of the only plants that directly nourishes our endocannabinoid system. But outside of that, holistic living nourishes the endocannabinoid system. So let's examine what we can do to our system with and without cannabis to nourish this master regulator of the body. But also look at what disrupts it. And actually our modern day world completely disrupts our master regulator of our body. And then from there, let's dive in deeper and examine what Mother Earth blessed us with. This cannabis plant that's full of 150 different cannabinoids. And I think nurses are the perfect place to introduce that to the world, because scientists sit there and scratch their heads. They're like, we don't understand how this molecule can interact all over this human body. But I want to pull it back for nurses and say, maybe we'll never fully understand the cannabis plant, and that's actually okay. Because we're going to teach individuals how to acknowledge what's happening in their bodies, learn to dose with specific or different cannabinoids, different routes of administration, but they're going to do it on intuition. And so that they're going to do it based on the fact that they have to check in with their bodies, decide what dose to take, and then pay attention to how their bodies respond. And then from there, really get comfortable and become intuitive with their dosing. And it's the nurse that's going to hold space for them as they learn that process, as they're uncomfortable with being in control of their own medicine. And then at the same time, the nurse needs to be taking a very holistic perspective on their care, because often when people come to cannabis, they're their most vulnerable because it's their last resort. They've been completely dissatisfied with any of the other care that they've gotten, and they're like, this is my last hope, so I'm going to just try some pot. And so you need to be able to hold space for that vulnerability. And you need to be able to, as a nurse, protect your own wellness and well-being so that you can hold space for these individuals, and then take them through the process of finding what works best for them, teach them how to listen to their bodies and how to respond to it. And then from there, branch out and teach nurses how to be advocates in community for cannabis and the development and research in cannabis, and just be that voice that governments don't allow producers to be, because they can't speak anything medicinal. So, and maybe they shouldn't be able to. So let's let nurses come in and be the voice and the protectors of the public. And let's turn around what cannabis means in this world. And I always think about it as Mother Earth blessed us with this feminine plant. And now let's put this plant back into the hands of people, and let's start passing it back down through generations. So if somebody, say a woman's dealing with bad menstrual cramps, somebody in the community like, well, have you tried a cannabis suppository? Before she's running to her doctor to say, I have bad period cramps, and you're offered NSAIDs, birth control,
Which has
hysterectomy.
so many side effects and invasive, right? Surgery is so invasive.
So let's give back the people their medicine, and let's pass it back down through generations so people know how to use it.
I love how you can titrate it too to what you need.
And let it flux and flow with your life as you need it. So that's what we're gonna try to do.
Wow, that's beautiful. Do you know how long the program will be?
I don't know. Roughly, I'm thinking between 8 to 10 weeks, right? 8 to 10-ish weeks. And then I'll be live instruction once a week. And then I'm really hoping, I've got some really amazing people in the industry, nurses and not nurses, that'll come in and be able to speak to students and tell their stories, tell their whys behind they got into the industry, and then tell us how you did this amazing thing in the industry, and really start to inspire through story.
Wonderful. And what opportunities would there be for nurses once they completed that program?
It's unreal. That's like, I can't even fathom that. I started my practice a year ago and was able to leave Alberta Health Services, my provincial health authority, and I'm living within a world that I love. I work with veterans through the federal government with their cannabis care. I work with the general public. I work with a group of women promoting my Canada Queens Club, and also I'm now on an advisory board doing research and development, leading clinical trials.
Wow, all of this in a year.
What the hell?
That's amazing.
But it's beautiful because that's what's missing in this industry, is that holistic nursing piece. And it fits so well in here that, because cannabis care has so much further to go. And same with the cannabis industry, it's new. It's only 4 years old, the rec market.
Well, and look how much we've learned in 4 years. Like just sitting with you tonight, and I thought I knew a lot about cannabis, and you're kind of blowing me away. All the information that you're sharing with me. Yeah,
so just these nurses to be what the industry's missing.
Right.
And to be that you're in partnership with community, and it's not just with other nurses or other doctors. You're in community with these dispensaries, and teaching bud tenders about cannabis or the importance of their role, because they're often the gatekeepers. If an individual is finally like, I'm sick of my pain, I'm gonna try pot, and they go into their first store and they interact with somebody that's completely stoned, that could turn them off for the rest of their lives. So how do we curate educated, positive experiences for people so that they're not scared of cannabis?
That's wonderful. And I think having an ongoing support system or support portal for nurses once they finish the cannabis program would be really, instrumental as well, just so they have somewhere to come back and touch base and ask questions.
Exactly, and network and
continue to learn.
And research is going so fast that you need that community of people to rely on and interact with. So
so it sounds like you've tapped into that. So that would definitely be something that we'd be able to bring on for students as well after they graduate from the program.
Absolutely what I want to see, and not just see scientists and then doctors in this industry, but the nurses need to be there. They need to be there to protect the public, to educate the public, and to really just hold space and journey alongside people.
Well, that's what our role is supposed to be, isn't it?
Exactly. And just help them navigate, pull together Western medicine with holistic cannabis care or holistic endocannabinoid system nourishment. How do you put those together? I write letters to doctors for patients that are too afraid to talk to their doctor about their cannabis use. Or just to open up conversation, and the nurse is the perfect person to be in that role, because cannabis is unique to every individual. I have a twin sister, and we have 2 different doses, and we're genetically the same.
Well, there you go.
So it's not something that we can treat like a pharmaceutical, nor should we ever. And so we have to empower people to be independent with their dosing. And know how to convert their doses, and know how to look at different products, and look through a market full of millions of products and know what's actually meant and made for their bodies. Be conscious consumers.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. That's exciting.